Previous service chiefs diverted money to build universities in their various communities. Those are the kind of resources that should have been used to procure modern technology. And to think that money was being diverted to non-essentials. And as we speak, those institutions are not teaching anything about security. They are just another glorified university. I think that this house, having the power to appropriate, we should focus strictly on the items that the Army and the Air Force and other security agencies are going to spend the money to do. Otherwise, everybody knows we need modern technology. This house, under your leadership, we have provided supplementary appropriation to the armed forces. Throwing money at a problem will solve it. We must assist them to redirect their procurement policies to focus on this technology. Otherwise, we can decline to approve appropriation if the details are not such that those managing the system will use the money strictly in a manner that we do justice to our collective feeling about redirecting and moving more and more towards technology. This is my additional prayer, Mr. President. It can be worded more elegantly, but I just believe that we need to tie the hands of the procurement people to procure more and spend more in those areas that the armed forces competence will be better enhanced.
The only problem with is the allegation that previous service chiefs diverted money to build universities. Did they build personal universities or public universities?
President, they built, if half of those money was used to strengthen NDA in terms of competence of the men, and the rest used to procure modern technology for the armed forces, the armed forces would have been far more competent. Somebody talk about how Israel reacted. I'm not sure it's something I want to debate, but they reacted with technology, with men and women well trained. Not creating mushroom educational institutions. Each service chief, they started them in their own villages. That did not coincide with the priorities of the armed forces. Just last year when we were doing the supplementary budget, we saw that the Navy even appropriate money to buy a yacht. That is why the oversight responsibility of this Senate is extremely important, to prevent the armed forces to prioritize in a manner that coincides with what we think the Nigerian Army should be doing. Thank you, sir.
Any seconder to the additional prayer? Yes.
Senator Neda Emaswa, Edo South, Senatorial District. I stand to second the additional prayers ably moved by Senator Aliu, Adams, Eric, Oshiomhole. I so second. The military should be directed to the core values, to the core mandates, which is to protection and procurement of materials and instruments that will aid them in securing our country rather than building universities or procuring yachts.
Okay, noted. So, distinguished colleagues, proposed by distinguished Senator Adams Oshiomhole is to the effect that we should mandate our Senate committees on defense, Navy, Air Force, Army, and other related security agencies to oversight all appropriations to the armed forces to avoid diversion of such monies from procurement of necessary tools to fight insurgents into unnecessary construction of universities in various domains of the armed forces chiefs. This prayer has been seconded. Those in support of the prayer say aye. Those against say nay. Let me take it again. The prayer is that all the Senate committees on defense, Navy, Air Force, and Army should immediately oversight and monitor that all appropriations made by this hallowed chamber are not diverted by the service chiefs to construction of universities in their communities, as happened in the past, but rather injected into the purchase of weaponry and technological equipment meant to fight insurgencies. This prayer has been seconded. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. Okay. The nays have it. Yes,
additional prayers.
The second issue is the motion brought by Senator Oshiomhole. I really don't want to talk too much about it. A decision has been taken in the Senate. You don't move forward by always looking backward. You cannot move forward. And that's why I'm sorry to say that we must change this attitude. Something that happened during Buratai and something happened now. Labaja is the chief of army staff. He did not establish any university. The work of a Senate is oversight. Oversight of what you appropriated and is about to be done. But Senate also has power to do investigation. So what the Senate is saying, if he had anything to do with what was done in the past, then bring a motion for investigation. And I was also expecting you guys to talk about that, but you are emphasizing on what has happened. And it is not outside the budget. So it means now, when we have the challenge of Boko Haram, bandits, and then everything in the Nigerian army that they are supposed to do should stop. No. That money was appropriated. If you have any issue with what was spent, there is no money. You can't spend money that is meant to be used in the theater to build a university. It can't be done that way. It must be appropriated. So that question, I can say, I'm sorry, is unexpected. But that is about it. Then the issue of indoctrination. Also, you have a role to play. Because even here, you see indoctrination. Huh? And people believe in it. You have some religious, this thing, even in Islam or in Christianity, that has to do with indoctrination. In Islam, you must remove your shoes. It's the best way to pray, to go into the mosque. Right? In Christianity, you go into the mosque. But then, in Islam, there are people that don't remove their shoes to pray. It's the issue of indoctrination. Small part of it. In Islam, you have the Shia, you have the Izala, you have the Tijaniya. All of them are Muslim. But they have different ways of worship. In Christianity, you have the Catholic, you have the Protestant, you have new churches here and there. You have some people, what do you call it, that don't wear shoes. So, if you ask me to go to the car park without my shoe, I'll not agree. But somebody is willing as part of his religion. And don't forget, this is not in Nigeria only. It's not an issue of, like you are trying to say in the palace. No, it's not an issue of education. No, issue of indoctrination. Haven't you seen Americans, in the 70s, somebody indoctrinated them to believe this world is full of this thing and they should take poison. All of them took poison. They said they are going to heaven. These are Oyibo people. So it's not the issue of saying maybe because people are not civilized, people didn't go to school. No, it's more than that. Especially with poverty now. Number one, everybody believes that, most of you, Christian and Muslim, that is heaven and hell. So the way you go to heaven and hell depends. So people will be shouting. So you go to one malam to pray for you that you will go to heaven, or you will solve your problem with your wife and all that. You go to church every day. A pastor, will say you call him to some extent. Some of you here believe one black man there is a prophet. Is it not indoctrination? This is how we believe. So anything you say, my pastor says so. Anyway, you say, Malam says so. Isn't it? And in the end of it, whether in the Bible or in the Quran, nobody is arguing that everybody will stand before God on his own to account. Even in Christianity, that is where we all meet. That your mother, no matter how she loves you, cannot take you to heaven from hell. And you too, you cannot take your mother out of hell to bring her to heaven because she's your mother. Everybody is on his own. But all of us go to one pastor to go and kneel down and he put his hand on your head and say he's praying for you. You go to one man and he will concoct something and say go and drink. Or he'll give you one thing and say go and put it. Or if your wife is this, you do it. So, I think I've answered the... No? And I also want to thank you very much for the avalanche of sympathy, condolence, and support that I got before coming here for this interview. I don't think I have much to say because the motion I presented today speaks for itself, and I hope you have a copy. And for those of you that don't have, you can, I will ask Musi to get you more copies when he gets to my office after the interview. Already, God has destined that will happen on what we call the Black Day of Saturday, 29th. Just as we are settling back to our various hometowns in Goza, local government particularly. And coincidentally, last week, before the Saturday of the wedding, we have resettled about 4 villages, are going back to their towns that were abandoned for the past 10 years or more. Hambagda people is a village, Bita is a village, Modube is a village, and Asgashia, Kirawa, Ngoshe, all these villages that I mentioned, and Warabe, were villages that are abandoned as a result of the insurgency. But with the effort of the state government and the resilience of the people, all these villages were resettled. In fact, they were trooping to their various farms. This year, they want to farm. Even part of the dreaded Sambisa area, the fringes of Bita, Yamtake, all of them have gone back, resettled, and are engaged in farming. Then suddenly, this event, unfortunate event, happened. Investigation is still going on because we are lucky to have apprehended one of the suicide bombers before she detonated the bomb. But it's very difficult in the sense that they have been deeply indoctrinated. All of them are women, young, and all of them believe that after detonating the bomb, they will go to heaven. So all of them have their hair plaited. They did this nalle, or what do women call it? They did nalle and, the makeup that women make, that they are going to heaven. And even the one apprehended was complaining that the soldiers aborted her journey to heaven. That is her own response. They talk kuna jin haushi na kun hana ni zuwa aljanna. That is what she said. And that she's not talking to infidels. They are not talking to, all that kind of, it's terrible. But at this point, I must commend the armed forces of Nigeria, especially those in Goza. Before, when incidents like this happen, people will be running helter-skelter. But this time around, when the incident happened, the soldiers were very, very promptly active. They ordered that everybody should go into his house, and that way you can know who is an outsider, because you will not have a house to go in. So that was how the last suicide bomber detonated herself when a soldier and a civilian JTF confronted them. She is confused because she doesn't, I think she's not from inside Goza. And so she could not go anywhere. She's looking for places that she has, gatherings that she can do. So when the soldier and the civilian JTF approached her, she detonated the bomb. And a soldier lost his life, and the civilian JTF, and of course herself. The other one was apprehended, and that is the one that is being interrogated by security agencies. So that is all I can add outside. But the soldiers and the security agencies, as I said, are trying their best, better than before. And the people are also more resilient than before. If it were before, people would start running away. But when curfew was placed and everybody was asked to stay at home, after a day, when I went there to sympathize with them, we agreed. Their number one request was that I should ask the soldiers to please allow them to go back to their farms. Unfortunately, the soldiers made adequate arrangement. I can say now, relatively, there is normalcy in Goza. Even the emir, I called him yesterday, and even today, and he said he's going to his farm. That is the emir himself. And the emir's farm is far away from Goza. So people are still resilient. They say they are not going anywhere. They are ready to die in their hometown. And this is a very positive development. The only thing we are asking in my prayers, the last one, which is very important, is we know in Borno State now, Boko Haram is only present predominantly in 3 black spots: the Mandara Mountain, the Lake Chad region around the Lake Chad, and of course the Sambisa. And I must also state that those in Sambisa are very weak. Those in the Mandara Mountain are also, because they don't have mobility, they don't have that power, they don't like they had before. The ones in the Lake Chad are those that are strong, but the multinational joint task forces are doing their best. The only thing they need is more support, especially support of drones, attack helicopters to support the ground troops. Otherwise, I believe that if the war is taken to them in those 3 spots, with the timeline, it can be overcome. Unfortunately, such area of security challenges are also rearing its ugly head in some places. The government should pay more attention. The government should prioritize security and welfare of citizens. The army cannot complain publicly. The Air Force cannot complain publicly. But the truth of the matter is that if you look at Nigerian army or armed forces, including police, we have gallant people. We have brave people. But no matter what your braveness is, if you don't have what it takes to do what is required, you cannot do it. Up to now, our armed forces are not adequately equipped, are not adequately trained, are not adequately motivated, are not adequately equipped. Without this that I mentioned, no matter how your wish is, the reality is that it will not come to an end. For example, when I was to go to Goza with the acting governor, it was advised by security agencies that we shouldn't go by road and go with a convoy for fear of another attack. So we had to go with a helicopter. But in Maiduguri command, there was no helicopter. We had to get a helicopter from N'Djamena that belonged to the multinational joint task force to come and ferry us from Maiduguri to Goza and back. This is Nigerian government. So these are the challenges. And let me conclude by coming out again to you. Everybody has a role to play. Security is everybody's business. But instead of our security, press or media, to encourage our security agencies or no, you look at the bad news. We should do everything to encourage our gallant and determined and committed security agencies. We should do everything to pressurize the government to give them adequate support. But every time I read, I feel sad when people are talking in the press, in their comfort, about the money being spent on the Nigerian Army, police, and all that. Forgetting that without security, we cannot hold this meeting. Without security, if it is not safe, you will not even come here. So let us emphasize on pushing the government to prioritize security even before the welfare of citizens. Is it not when you are secure that you can go to the market? In Goza, when there was curfew for 2 days, somebody from Maiduguri that was caught up there, he was on official assignment. He confessed to me that he could not eat for 2 days. He was in the government house. The workers of government there cannot go to give him food. So he was caught up there with no food for 2 days. If the place was secured, he would go to the market. He would call somebody. He calls a friend on the phone, but the friend cannot take food to him. That gives you the simple example of the essence of security. So I want to thank you for the support. And I'm ready to take any question, if any. Questions, let me take them. Basically, there are about 2 or 3 questions composed, 4 questions compressed into basically 2. One is the question of what I think about the from ASU, resurgence of the Boko Haram. I'm from there. I'm involved, as you said. I was chairman army. Our people have developed thick skin. We suffered for over 10 years. Our people are not willing to give in again. They are willing to stand up. So I'm telling you that Boko Haram resurgence in our place, no. Well, they can be coming up like this, detonate bomb, that is how they will show their relevance. But for attack, when our people go to their farms, they go ready to confront Boko Haram. And they have confronted 1, 2, arrested some have surrendered, and we're moving. So this incident that happened is unexpected, but it's a kind of wake-up call. And our people have decided to stand up to it. I give you an example. Because we think things are normal. In my own town, if you are going to farm, the security agencies give you token. You go out with the token, and when you come back in the evening, you must have the token and surrender it into the entry points. But because many people are trooping to the farm, and the security think that they will delay them by queuing in to collect the token. They say, just go, just go, just go. That was one mistake. So before yesterday, we reintroduced the token system again. And then we are going to reintroduce some other security measures. But I can assure you that Boko Haram to escalate again, inshallah, we are praying, we are ready, it's not going to happen. And the army itself are so determined. As I told you, a soldier lost his life. If it were before, once there is bomb explosion, everybody will be looking for where to take cover. But the reaction helped to curtail the ugly incidents. Immediately, the army and the other security agencies, and there is what we call the hybrid, that is the volunteers, asked everybody to go into his house. That helped the situation. And they went on to patrol. If you are outside your house, that means you are a stranger. Even if you are in the camp, they ask them to go back into the camp. And even in the camp, everybody has his place. So that helped the situation. And the state government and the security aid agency, SEMA, were very much on hand. We had about 42 that were injured. They are immediately evacuated to Maiduguri for better medical attention. And so far, 14 have been discharged. As I left yesterday, there are still 26 or 25 people in the hospital, and we lost 2 in Maiduguri. That was what built the number to 32 as at yesterday. Then